Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. Today we're going a little bit off topic, or I want to put your mind in a different perspective. So this will be kind of interesting because what if you have a friend who's dating a gumball guy and maybe you're not for once? You're like, hey, I'm not the one dating him. Or maybe you are. And this can be a way, I'm just thinking of this now, but this can be a way that you can see how you need to be a friend to yourself. This is also how I coach you if you book a one-on-one session with me. This is the way that I help you see it. And I hope that this helps you treat those around you that are in bad relationships with a little bit more compassion and understanding. And also, I hope that this is encouraging to you because it's much more effective than saying, you need to leave him. You're so much better. Like that does not work. So, all right. So to start off though, I would like to interrupt this with a self-care tip. I'm following a new format on the podcast. And what I want to encourage you to do is book a doctor's appointment. Whatever doctor's appointment is due, whether that's the OBGYN or it's a physical, you know what? Let's not underestimate the physical. I went and got my physical a couple of years ago and then redid it again last year. And I actually don't have to get it again because I just went to the doctor for something else, which I'll tell you in a second. But I asked him, I'm like, can you do like just a full panel blood workup? And he was kind of an old school doctor. So he's like, what do you mean? I said, I just want to check everything. I want to check all my blood levels. I want to make sure cholesterol, everything. I just want to look at it all. And he was like, okay, sure. You can order that. And I got it all back and everything was great. Just all good news, which was so reassuring that everything was in alignment. But maybe something could be slightly off. Like I remember doing it a few years ago and I had low vitamin D and low in the B vitamins. And so sometimes we're feeling low energy or we're not sleeping well and we're just kind of pushing through or taking something over the counter. And I just want to encourage you that a lot of times when we've been through bad relationships and we have ignored ourselves, that the first thing I want you to always check is your physical health. So if you haven't been to the OBGYN for a while, if you haven't been to the doctor, or if you're having a pain that you have ignored. So quick story, I promise this is going to be super fast. I had my gallbladder out in 2008. And I always had like stomach issues after that because, you can't break down fat. Your gallbladder holds bile that your liver makes and breaks down anything that's fatty or really all your food. I mean, it releases the bile, so it breaks the food down. So I always struggled with digestion for a long time. And recently I had a lot of pain. I was kind of scared because I thought, oh my gosh, I cried to my mom and sister. We were on a 3-way call and I was like, I feel like I have let this go and maybe it's something different and maybe this is my pancreas. And I was like, I thought, what can this be? It feels like it's right in that same spot that I had my gallbladder attack. And I was like, what the heck is this? So I went to the doctor, gastroenterologist, and he said, well, let's do an upper endoscopy because I don't think it's your pancreas, but let's just see what's going on. Like, okay, can I tell you that the whole time, like for years, I have always felt like there was something missing in my health, like something was wrong. I would try to lose weight. I would try to work out and I did pretty well because, you've been following my journey. I lost 30 pounds and then 40 pounds and I gained 10 back. And I was like, what is going on? Like, why is this such a struggle for me? Because I feel like I would do everything right and then I would just struggle to get results. So I get the upper endoscopy. Guess what I learned? I am sucrose intolerant, which means that my body cannot break down sugar. And guess what else I learned? I'm completely lactose intolerant. So anytime I ate anything with sugar, which includes a lot of fruits and vegetables, a lot of stuff has sugar. Fruits, vegetables that had sugar, anything like sweets, ice cream, all the dairy I was eating, so any kind of cheese, my body was basically struggling and barely digesting that stuff, so I would have extreme pain. And so, oh my gosh, just by doing that one doctor's appointment, I've been able to change how I ate, and I dropped 7.5 pounds in a week, which never happens in the history of Melissa Ledger's life. And I was like, oh my gosh, is weight falling off of me? Like, is this actually happening to me? Because, I hate when people are like, oh, I just, took out this in my diet and, the weight just fell off of me. And you're like, I could just slap you. Like, never, it's never been easy for me. And so I'm telling you this story because take an interest in your health, get things checked out. Sometimes we're reading stuff, we're Googling forever, we're going to doctors that are treating, but, sometimes just trust that gut instinct, no pun intended, but trust that gut instinct and follow it because I knew there was something off. I knew that I needed more information. I wish I just would have thought of an upper endoscopy. I didn't realize how simple it was. I was like in and out and back at my desk working the same day. Literally woke up in the morning, went to the doctor, got the endoscopy, and I had a huge proposal to fill out. Got a cup of coffee after and worked the rest of the afternoon. They were like, oh, you need to relax and hang out. I was like, I feel fine. I worked the rest of the day. So I'm just saying it was that easy to get that information. So powerful. So self-care tip, I always recommend this to you, especially if you join the Back to You Academy, that we talk a lot about, your physical health. And sometimes it's embarrassing stuff. So join the academy. We can talk about all of it because I want you to feel good. And because if we don't have our physical health, what do we have? You know what I mean? We've got to take care of ourselves. All right. So that's it. How do you help your friend if she is dating a gumball guy? All right. So I'm going to give you the 21 tips. Are you ready? We're going to try to do this fast. Maybe I'll actually have a quick podcast. Number 1, this is what I hate the most. Don't say you need to leave him because it's not realistic. We know, those of us that have dated gumball guys, when you're in love, I don't care if you've dated gumball guys or not, when you're in love, it's not a one-day decision. Even if she just found out he's cheating on her, it's not a one-day decision. It's not a quick turn because she still has all that love and somehow she has to figure out what to do with it. She has to figure out what to do with all of those great times, all of those memories, all of the things that he said. She's got to reconcile all of that with this new information. So, as my mom so beautifully says, sometimes you just need to land the airplane. So she's cruising at 30,000 feet and then she gets the news. So to leave the relationship feels like she's jumping out with no parachute and going crashing toward the earth. It doesn't work. In her mind, she needs more time. So if let's say you have a girlfriend, she's like, oh my gosh, John cheated. And you're like, you want to channel that. Oh my gosh, like, how did you find out? What happened exactly? What do you know? Really get in it with her. Don't sit in a chair of judgment, because when we feel low, when we have chosen the wrong guy, the last thing we need to feel is dumb. We don't want to feel like we've made mistakes, because when somebody finds out bad information or they get to a point where the relationship is getting bad, yes, it's kind of, I always say it's like a 1 through 10, right? Like you had information in the very beginning, you gathered one thing, then you had 2 things, then you had 3 things, and it goes up to 10, right? So when they cheat or they do that final thing, you can see like, okay, now she has all of the information, right? But while she was at 2 or 3, she was falling deeper and deeper in love with him. And she was trying so hard to ignore those things and to keep going. And she did. So at the point where it feels to everyone else that the most logical decision is to walk away, it's not that simple for her. Okay? So number 1, don't tell her she needs to leave him. Number 2, understand she needs to land the airplane. Number 3, do not expect her to make a fast change. Number 4, understand this is a process. So I want you to immediately think, if when your friend is going through something, this is a process. I tell my clients all the time. They'll be like, Melissa, I feel so stupid and I know this is dumb. And if you've coached with me, you'll know I've said this to you. Why would you be dumb right now? Why is this dumb? You loved him, right? Or you still love him? Well, yeah. Okay, well, just because we have all this data doesn't change your heart. It doesn't change how you feel. It doesn't change the grieving process. We still got to do this. So let's figure out the way through. All right, so number 5, don't ask, why did you let him do this to you? Or why do you stay with him? And girl's like, I just can't believe you can stay with him. How can you do that? I mean, he's like terrible. How do you, I just don't get it. It's like, you don't get it? I mean, sometimes it's like, really? Because you can think of their relationship where they stayed and then all of a sudden they're super judgy. That's one of the things I cannot stand in my private Facebook group. Girls that, like, I know your history, I know your story, and then you're all judging some other girl. That'll be the fastest way to get kicked out of the back, or not the Back to You Academy. If you come into the Back to You Academy and you do that, you will get kicked out. No, but like I've only had to kick one person out of the VIP group. So, and actually it was just because she was spamming our group with her own business stuff. So, I haven't really, no, actually I did kick out one other person, and I kicked her out because she was promoting that we should teach Gumball guys how to act differently. And so I told her, no, we cannot teach that. You do not scold or lecture Gumball guys, especially in online dating, because when you lecture them, you can bring out a sociopath, you can bring out a stalker, you can bring out somebody who turns violent because they don't like being lectured, they don't like being talked down to, and you start doing that, you can really invoke a violent man to come out. So I don't want you doing that. So if you're promoting that behavior, you'll get kicked out. So yeah, 2 people out of, I don't know, like hundreds. So anyway, back to our points, right? So we don't want to be judgy, and we don't ask, and we don't put girls down, because if you're in our private Facebook group, you might look at another girl and be like, whoa, how can she text a guy that's saying that? It's because that's where she is right now. So everybody's in a different place. And the thing is, I was all of you. I feel like I started at the very lowest. So no matter how ridiculous it looks to certain people, I can remember being at that point, because I feel like I've hit the lowest of lows. I've dated guys that I'm not embarrassed today, because I just know where I was and I couldn't help it. Right? It's just, I couldn't see it. And so, but you know what? When I knew better, I did better, and I did better and better and better and better. And the filtering is effortless for me now because I put in the work. But man, I had to start somewhere. So don't shame a girl. Take away that shame from her. Don't let words like, I can't believe you're going to do this. I can't believe you're going to go back to him. If you don't have the bandwidth to sit with her, if you don't want to go the long haul, then just listen without judgment. You don't have to get in here and do all this, but I would just ask that you remove the shame, because she's so beat down at that point. You know how it is when you lose somebody you love, or you find out they're cheating. The last thing you need to feel is worse about yourself, or feel dumb, or feel like you should be doing something faster or according to someone else's timeline. I never realized how annoyed this makes me until now, but I can't stand it. I will be very protective of you if you're in my group. If anyone tries to shame you or pass judgment because it's just the process doesn't work that way. All right. So here's how you can start to help her. Number 6, ask her how she feels in the good times and the bad times. So depending on what's going on, just ask her, okay, so what's going on like right now? What's happening? Because then she'll be like, okay, this is how I coach you. Okay, tell me what's going on right now. Obviously, if you come to me, you're at a point where you're like, okay, I'm ready for answers, but I'm not going to rip the Band-Aid off because I know that that doesn't work. So I'm going to ask you, okay, tell me what's going on right now. And then your friend will tell you like, okay, well, I found the letter, or I found the text, or I stalked his social media and I saw that he was texting her. I confronted him and then he denied it. And he came up with XYZ story. And even though the story might sound BS to you, not that you can't say that like, okay, that sounds like BS. You can ask her, okay, so how do you feel about the story? I mean, I feel like it's not true, but what is your instinct? How are you processing this? And give her a chance to work through it. Sometimes you just need to say it out loud. I don't have this tip on here, but I would say do less of the talking and more of the listening, just so she can hear herself think through it. You're helping her think out loud. So I want you to just think of it. Okay, if I want her to leave him, I need to help her think out loud. I need to help her see it, because if me telling her what I see does not help her. Okay. Ask her, number 7 is, ask her, what is a typical day like? Get her to see the reality of what living with this guy day to day is really like. And if you're going through this, I want you to ask yourself, so maybe you could think of this as a free coaching session. What is it like with him every day? Like, are you having fun? Was it fun before? Sometimes when I'm coaching, they'll realize, yeah, I really wasn't enjoying it that much. And that's what you need to help her realize and go back to is, okay, so I know it's sad, but like go back to right before you found out this information. Were you happy? Not really. Were you thinking about leaving? And she might be like, sometimes. Really? Why were you thinking about leaving? Well, because he was da 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 da. And you're like, oh, okay, well. And then I always encourage her, write it down. So you can, depends on how close the friend is, you can write it down with her. Be like, okay, let's just write this down so we can get a timeline. Because if it depends on what kind of girl she is too, but I really like to see timelines when it comes to relationships. So I can kind of see, okay, this happened and then this happened. Oh, okay. So when he said this, or when I saw this text message, this is when his attitude changed. I can see the pattern. It helps her solve the mystery of it, because really what's happening is, I don't understand how he can't love me. I don't understand how this could fall apart. We were so great. And she'll take that journey back to the beginning, and then she's trying to unravel how she got to this point. Ask her, number 8, does he respond to your messages, to your text messages? Like, what's his communication like? Get her to see that he's not honoring her need to hear the communication or to be responded to her. He's not respecting her needs to communicate. Is he communicating on his terms? So how is he responding to her would be my number 8. Number 9, maybe it's not an outright cheating. It's just a bad relationship. So let's also think of it that way. Like, if it's not just cheating, just, does he respond to your texts? Does he take you out on dates? Are you going out? Are you doing anything? Like, do you feel like you're really in a real relationship? Okay. Obviously you won't rapid fire these, but I just want you to think of like, what's the day? If you can't remember anything in this podcast until after, just close your eyes right now if you're not driving and just think, okay, I'm going to walk her through a day in the life, a day, a week, a month. How have things been in the most immediate and then over the past few months? What has she really been able to experience with him? Okay. And how much of that time is actually good, is actually fun? A lot of times girls will tell me, oh, Melissa, I don't know, like, how much of this was actually fun? Maybe like 20% of the time. My therapist used to do this with me. How much time is actually good? I remember telling him, I don't know, maybe 30%. And he was like, okay, so you're going to be spending 70% of the time resenting the fact that it's not like the 30%. It's like, well, that's an interesting way to think of it. But really making us realize, okay, I guess I wasn't really that happy. I guess it really wasn't that fun, right? All right, so then ask her, number 10, is the sex good? How's the sex? Oh, this is a good one. No one's expecting this question. So then they're like, usually there's a problem. It's non-existent. There's erectile dysfunction. There's porn. There's strippers. There's some kind of issue that is interrupting, because when you are having issues with intimacy, which is not sex, closeness, friendship, when the foundation of intimacy is corroding, the sex is always going to be affected. Sex is only good when you have an established true friendship where you're completely free in the relationship. That's when you have the best sex. Sex is not 50 Shades of Grey. It's about a foundation of friendship. And when that is starting to fall apart, or has fallen apart, or was never established in the first place, that's when the sex is going to be bad. And sometimes you can really help her. And maybe I'm helping you right now. It's like, let's go through this if you're dating your gumball guy. So you haven't landed the airplane. You don't want to make any changes fast. So you are going to say, okay, this is a process. All right. So how do I feel when things are good? How do I feel when they're bad? What's going on when things are bad? All right. So it's just kind of a review. What's a typical day, week, month like? Are you going on dates? Are you having good sex? And so I actually just repeated this one, but it's going to seem like a repeat because I kind of weaved it in there. But how much of the time is good? So how much of time is good? How much time is bad? I put how much of the time is good as number 11. Number 12, do you feel exhausted? Are you tired? Get her to feel like, yeah, I'm exhausted. Yeah. And then if you're the friend that's in a good relationship, you can tell her, look, in good relationships, you don't have to feel tired. You should feel entitled to feel supported. It's okay to actually want these things. This is part of building our self-worth. And this is why I'm starting with self-care tips, because when we really take care of ourselves and we invest in ourselves, then we aren't willing. We're not available for men to treat us poorly. We have the expectation that our needs matter. They will be heard, listened to, and respected. And when they're not, I can tell you, even in the past few years, just since I really went so public with Gumball Love, I've continued to grow. I'm still evolving, you guys. This is it's not a destination. It's a process, even for me at this point. So I may just be a few steps ahead of you, but I want to pull you up. I'm turning around and I'm extending my hand to you. And I'm saying, come on, I'm no different than you. I've just studied this. I've just put in a little bit more work, but my work and my effort was designed to find a faster route for you. So this is about express train, out of the funk, out of the bad relationships. Let's figure out those red flags and those signs. Let's not be man haters. And let's actually realize there are fantastic, incredible men out there that are going to be amazing husbands. You will find an incredible husband and a wonderful man. I know this. I have faith in it. I have faith in it for you. I have faith in it for me. I don't question it because I know God spoke literally. Can you imagine speaking and then worlds form in front of you? Like, this is the creator that made us. He can find the guy, like he's got it. It's not hard for him. And sometimes it's like, okay, but we're checking our watch. Like, okay, well, God, where is he? And then we start to worry. And then that worry starts to affect our ability to really live and be happy. And then everything kind of, with the worry and the impatience, everything else starts to fall. So just a quick little inspiration boost to just keep the faith, okay? Keep being faithful, because a faithful, smiling, happy, like a happy girl that knows her worth and is living her best life is the most beautiful. You being the best you and feeling like you are the best you, not the you that you feel like other people think you should be, but the one that you actually want to be and the one that you actually want to show up as, that's the most beautiful you. Okay? So you can incorporate either for you or for the person that you're helping, your friend, your sister, your mom, whoever this is. And if it's you, this is how you are your own best friend. You look at yourself and say, look, this was hard. Like, you fell in love. You really cared about him. You had incredible times. And for a while in the beginning period, you had no idea who this guy was. You thought he was XYZ and he turned out to be ABC. And that sucks. And even though you know that information, it's still going to take time for that to soak in. Anytime this has happened to me, it's like, it's such a freaking bummer. So I want you to also say things like that to her. Like, doesn't it just suck to see, man, he was so cool. And then what the hell? And then she can be like, yes. Like, how do you, and then tell her, but how do you know? How the hell do you know? You don't, because they don't give you all the information. They don't give you all the red flags up front. They only give you some, but I'm here to share with you over time. You hang with me. I will tell you how to see the teeny tiniest little red flag. You coach with me and you tell me about the guy, I'll be able to find it. Although I just coached one of my girls, academy graduate. She found a great guy. And I was sitting across from her and I said, I would say her name, but it's a very unique name, so I don't want to call her out. But I was like, do you see how boring this is? And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, I can't find anything about your guy, right? Like, we're trying to find stuff and we can't. And that's boring, right? Because he's a good dude. So there's no issues. There's no red flags. It's like, and she was like, yeah. So I'm telling you, it's out there. I'm finding it everywhere. And the girls I'm coaching, they get over their gumball guy and then they heal. They go through their transition. Bam. This guy was at the gym and she never met a guy at the gym before. There he was, made conversation. Now, 2 months later, still she's like, Melissa, he calls, he texts, it's consistent. He's not weird. There's no red flags. It's not intense. We're not trying to get married tomorrow. It's just easy. It flows. So simple, right? So you can also give your friend encouragement that is actually a real thing and that she doesn't have to worry that this is the only way. You can be like, look, this totally sucks, but just know he's not the end all be all. This is just one dude, and she's not going to be like, oh yeah, it's just one dude. Okay. I feel completely healed from this conversation and consider myself, absolved and I'm good. And I'm like ready to rock and roll. She might need the same conversation tomorrow. Like my sister just said the other day, she goes, you think you're like at night and you feel like you're all squared away and you're good to go. And then you wake up in the morning and you're effed up again. And I was just laughing so hard because it's so true. Like, you're like, what happened from in sleep? I woke up and I feel sad again. And it's like, oh, geez. And then you just feel like you have to start over. So this is what she feels like, right? I know you guys are shaking your head because most of you have been through this, going through it right now. But you know what? You might have gone through this before. You may not have found the right guy, but you're hanging out with friends that are going through this. So you may not have thought about how to be there for her, because sometimes you might be tempted to tell her all the stuff you know about gumball guys. And sometimes people will say to me, Melissa, I have this friend and she really needs you. And I'll be like, well, does she think she needs me? Because I can't work with her until she's ready, you know? So you might be the person that can help her be ready for me by just giving her some love, giving her some support, giving her just the freedom to be and have a little bit more time, and giving her the freedom and giving her the time to just breathe a little bit and not feel like she has to make any decisions right now. I should have put that in there. So let's make that number 22. Don't make her feel like she has to make a decision right now. Don't give her a timeline. The less pressure you put on her, the less shame you put on her, the quicker she'll move. This is how I help so many women get out of these relationships, because when you remove the shame and you remove the timeline and you really get in there with her and you help her dig out in a way that's compassionate, and also understand that you're going to have this conversation. And if she lives with him, she's going to go right back in that house and be with him. She might go have sex with him 50 more times. You don't know. So the goal of the conversation is never to get her to break up. Okay? Never. I've had girls, there's a couple in the academy, one I'm thinking of right now. We did 6 sessions together, and after 6, over 3 months, then she was able to break up. But it took her 3 months. So month 1, we did, 2-3 sessions. Month 2, another couple of sessions. And, I would meet with her, and then 2 weeks later, or 3, or whatever she chose, I would tell her, and I will tell you, if you book 6 sessions with me, because you're like, I need to go through a breakup. She was really smart. She actually said to me, man, I thought this was going to be like a 10-month thing. And it was 3. But it felt so monumental to her. But she was smart, because she knew she knew up front. I don't know how she knew it, but she did. This is going to be a process. And I think in some aspects, she wasn't sure that she even wanted to do it. So you may feel like you should, but you really don't know. And you get afraid to even talk to somebody about it, or a therapist, because you think they're going to pressure you. And that doesn't work. That's not what we should be doing. So you need to come to that in your own time. But I can help you shift your perspective and see things a little bit differently so that it's so much easier. Let me tell you, perspective, awareness, it's freaking everything. It feels like, to me, this process feels like turning on lights in a room. It's like you walk into a dark room and like find your way through it. Well, I can't, it's dark. But if someone turns on a light in the way back, you're like, oh, okay, I can see walls now. And somebody turns on another light. Okay, pretty soon when all the lights are on, you're like, oh, okay, I see. This is, have you ever looked at a house online and you thought it was great, and then you went and saw it and you're like, yeah, they did that whole thing with the lens to make the rooms look huge, and the rooms are tiny and the kitchen is ridiculous because they didn't picture that in the ad. And so now I was drawn in by this light pouring into this gorgeous living room, but I didn't know that the kitchen was a hot mess. And you make a quick decision because then you have all of the facts. That's exactly what this process is like. We're turning on the lights, we're giving you perspective, and you're able to see things. And once you see it, then it's easy. But it just takes a while to see it. Okay. All right. So, the next one is, does she want to stick it out? Sometimes just ask her, do you want to stick this out? Are you ready to walk away at this point? Or do you feel like you could even do it? You can just ask her, like, do you want to stick this out longer? And she might say, yeah, I can't. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. This is what everyone says to me. I know it sounds stupid, Melissa, and it doesn't sound stupid to me ever, but I just can't walk away right now. Okay. And then I will remind you that the reason that you can't walk away and the reason this is hard is because you're not a psychopath. Okay. You're not going to be a serial killer later this year because you have no emotions. You have a heart. This is hard. You're attached. So if you're still wanting to stick it out, then you're normal. Welcome. Like, It's so weird. Why do we feel like we should just immediately be able to cut it off? Like, I don't know where that expectation comes from, but it's super weird. All right. So, ask her, okay, so if you stick it out, what does that mean for you? Like, what do you have to do to stick it out? Like, what is that going to be for you, like, every day? If this was like a job requirement, what are your duties to stick it out? Let me tell you, these duties suck when you're trying to stick it out because he's not doing any work, right? When we're doing this, he's not doing anything. We're doing it all. So you start to realize, dang, I'm doing it all. Actually, I'm going to add number 23. And it's going to be at the end or whatever this number is. I'm screwing up the numbers, but it's going to be 23 things. Is he doing any of the work? So maybe we'll make that instead of number 23. Sorry, this is not the most organized list, Jose. So is she still wanting to stick it out? So be number 13. Number 14 would be, is he doing any work, or what work is he doing? What is his contribution? Is he talking? Is he going to counseling? Is he contributing at all? Get her to be like, okay, no, he's not. All right. So what part are you doing? You know, like if they were building a house together and you could use this example, whatever example that you think fits her personality. If you're building a house together, you have all these tools and hammer and nails and wood and drywall. What does he have? What's his role? And she might be like, yeah, his role is sitting on a chair, you know, smoking a cigarette, like drinking a beer. Like he's not doing anything. Okay, so what if you got a chair next to him and drank your own beer? What if you stopped doing all of that work? So I want you to encourage her to see what she's doing and then also get her to see she's doing all the work and also get her to see that he's not doing anything or whatever he's doing is barely enough. And so if she's putting in all the effort and he's putting in very little, then how long can that go before he actually puts in the 100% and she's putting in the 100%? You know, we both give 100% to make relationships work. So what is it going to take to get him to actually put in effort? So obviously this makes it see, this sheds light. And this could be, you can take these tips and use maybe 2 or 3 of them. I mean, if she's in a fragile state, then, you know, sometimes she just needs to cry. You know, if people book sessions with me, almost, I would say 90% of the time, most of my girls cry the first session because it's like you know, we do these over Zoom and you can do them over camera or not. You can do them, you know, we can see each other. I love to see you because I like to see your eyes and chat with you. But if I did, the girl I just mentioned, we did all 6 sessions and she still broke up with her boyfriend and we didn't look at each other once. So, you know, and I think for that one, it was just meant to be that way. So whatever you want to do. Sometimes I like audio only just because I can then just close my eyes sometimes when I'm coaching and really just imagine your situation, imagine where you are. So either way, but when I'm looking at somebody or I'm listening to somebody speak, and the tears come and there's so much emotion just because they're trying sometimes so hard to sit across from you at coffee and tell a story when really it's just like they're devastated. They're just so hurt. So when someone says, I just can't believe you're going to go back to him. Well, now then she can't really break down to you because you just shamed her. And I know you know, you're not doing it intentionally, right? Sometimes we've done this exact same thing. Like we've had this situation, then we've shamed our friend because it's so obvious when you're not the one in love with him and you can see it crystal clear. But when you're in it, you can't see it. So you need to remember that with her. When she's in it, she can't see it. Remember that for yourself. You were in it from the beginning. You've heard every story. You're the one that's been kissing him. You're the one that's been holding him, having sex with him, meeting his friends, his family, his kids, whatever. Like you're the one that made the investment. So to rip away is absolutely a ridiculous expectation. Okay. Number 15 or 16. What is on hold for her? Like dealing with this situation, what is she putting on hold for herself? So ask her. So what are your plans for you? And do you feel like you can do those with him in your life? If you would have asked me that before I left for New York, I'd have told you that Bob was putting New York City on hold for me, that he was standing in the way of me pursuing my dreams, of me seeing a completely different life. And I knew it in my heart. I knew I was supposed to come here. I was talking about it. I talked to my sister ended up living near a ex-boyfriend of 10 years ago. And he said, "Hey, how's your sister doing?" And she said, "She's in New York." And he goes, "Oh yeah, she always talked about New York." And I was thinking, really? I couldn't believe I was still talking about it when I dated him. It was always in me. I knew I was on my way here. And different guy, was standing in my way. And so if someone had asked me that, then what's he standing in the way of? I would have said, he's standing in the way of me getting to New York. He's standing in the way of me fulfilling my dreams, starting my business. That would have been a huge, whoa, to say that out loud would have been a big deal. So don't underestimate just asking, is there anything on hold for you right now until this gets resolved? How long can that stay on hold? Are you going to, and I don't even want to say, are you going to let it stay on hold? Just ask her. And then say that those are really important things. I want to see you do those. So how can I help you get through this? Ask her, what can I do for you at this point? Because I know how hard this is. I know it's not a quick fix. So how can I help you? And she'll probably not even know what to say to that. I don't know, nothing. I guess just listening. Just listening. Just being her friend. She needs a friend right now. She doesn't need a judge. She just needs somebody to hear her and give her the space. Because I'm telling you, this is what I do for you. I give you the space to work it out so that you don't feel the shame. And then you can actually say things and work through it without I know I should do that. I know I should do that. It's like when you go, I just noticed I reconnected with a trainer at the gym and, we feel ashamed of the workout we haven't done and the food we've been eating. But the trainer is actually the least judgmental person. They're so excited to see us back on our plan and working out. And they're pumped, because they are passionate about fitness. I feel the same way. When you book an appointment with me and we get to work through this and I get to see you make progress, I can see your progress much more than you can. Sometimes I'll say to my clients, "Do you see how far you've come?" And they're like, "No." I'm think about it. Remember when you were here? Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, you're killing it right now because you were completely sobbing and a mess. And now you're so much further along. You're organized. You're feeling confident. You're not crying anymore. And then they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm not crying anymore. I do feel better. I know that you'll get through it." So I'm not sitting in judgment of you because I understand the process. So it would be like a trainer judging you because you had, your thighs were thicker. They're they don't care, but they're actually excited that there can be a transformation. So they know what that muscle is doing underneath. They know the result that's coming. So they're patient for it because they don't expect it to be there in the first workout or even the second or the third. They understand when it's going to come, right? And I do too. And so I want you to start to think about this for your friends that, no, this conversation is not going to produce the result. Maybe not the next one either, but maybe over time. And I'm going to tell you, this could be very frustrating, but for some people, this could take a year. If they're not getting professional help, they're not seeing any kind of a coach or a therapist, and they're just working through this on their own, it can take a long time. So I know that we all don't have that bandwidth to be that person to talk about the same thing over and over and over again. But I feel like if you just do it in this little bit different way, and you have some questions you can ask her, that this might be a lot more productive feeling for you because you're going to hear different answers. So the next thing is number 17 is, I think I've lost the order of these because I put another one in at 13 and that's where we left off. So I'll have to figure out. We're going to say that there's 23 things you can tell somebody, but there might be more than 23. So you can message me and tell me, Melissa, there was actually like 36. Okay. So, what I want you to do to say, or want you to say to her, I have this as number 16, which is not accurate, but what can she do for herself in the process? Another girl in my academy is living with a guy that she doesn't know for sure if she wants to break up with him. She's thinking about it. It's been weighing on her, but right now it's too hard. But she joined the academy anyway to have support during this. No one is telling her to leave him because we freaking get it. But here's what I told her to do. I said, you have your business that you want to be working. We talked through it. So I encouraged her, start working that. Even when he's around, she would tend to let her work fall aside when he was there. I said, keep doing that. Well, OMG, who showed up the next week? This powerhouse girl. I couldn't believe the difference. I was like, who is this? From the first, because I coached her one-on-one first, and then she came into the group, and I was like, who are you? And she just laughed. She was smiling. She had confidence, and she's still living with him because she cares about him. It's not like an overly toxic situation. So it's just, a period where she's like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I need to make some decisions. And so you don't necessarily have to leave him to build that confidence. So we can start helping lift each other up. Let's build that business. Let's get some stuff going. Let's make a little bit more money. Let's give you, so I help give you support through that. So you can give your friend support. Give her support as she's trying to make that decision. Maybe you can invite her to something that will inspire her. Be like, hey, can you come with me to this thing? And because she's a writer and you're going to go to some writers conference, or that she plays the piano and maybe your kid has a concert and whatever, like think about places you can invite her that will get her out of the house, get her away from him to get some perspective and instill some inspiration and some of the things that she may need. Also, just as I encourage you in the beginning, number 17 or 18, whatever, encourage her to focus on self-care. So getting to the gym or reducing stress, making sure she's getting enough sleep. So things like, all of the relationship drama is important, but ask her, are you getting rest? And she might be like, no, I'm not. Because when people are going through something where they're really struggling, they're not eating right, they're not exercising, they're not sleeping, and they're usually not drinking enough water. So just say, okay, I want you to just focus on a few things. And that's what you can text her. Did you get enough water today? Because when we're super dehydrated, then we're unfocused and we're tired. So like no sleep, dehydration, not eating well, it can all contribute and really make her feel way worse. So help her in those other areas as well. Keep her around her friends and family without addressing the guy. Please keep her identity separate from his. And remember and talk about the things about her that are not related to him or the relationship. And if she brings him up and it's a time where she shouldn't, just refer back to something about her that's just hers. Remind her of who she is. And don't gang up on her. Don't get a bunch of girls together. Maybe it's your mom and your sister ganging up on her and really talking to her. Man, I have one sister and my mom, and we're like 3 girlfriends. And depending on who was dating the bad guy, we would tend to do that. Like, yeah, we want to talk to you. Like, what is going on? Like, this is ridiculous. We'd be so frustrated. Each of us, different situations, different guys. All of us were in that situation, and it would be like this rotation. And it was just the wrong thing to do to each other. So don't gang up. Don't give lectures. And don't make her feel dumb, because if she feels dumb, you're going to make her weaker. And when she's weaker, she's not able to walk away. Okay. And on the track of feeling dumb, number 20 I have here. I'll read through these really quick. So number 20 I have down here is she feels dumb already. So make sure you let her know she's not. It's not about being dumb. It's about convincing your heart that it's okay to walk away and dealing with that grief and that pain. And remember, the last one is she's in love. As ugly as the situation might be to anyone else, she is in love. And it's like so hard for her to believe that this is actually real. And when sometimes these guys come back and they say all the right things, and then you feel like all of your work is for nothing because he's super great now. I never feel like all my work is for nothing. In fact, I coached one of my friends, bought a session for her friend, and it went really well. Usually when you buy it for somebody, it doesn't work because they're not ready. But in this case, she was. And we talked through it, and she's like, I know she's going to go back to him. I'm like, oh, for sure she will. But now she has new information. So when I coach you and you go back to him, I'm not like, oh man, what an idiot. I know you have new information, and sometimes we have to live in the relationship longer with that information. Then you might be like, okay, I went back. It was good, but now I see something else. Come back. We'll talk about that something else. And it's just so important to know these. I'm not judging you. A lot of people are not judging you that you think are. And that's really the hardest part about booking a session with somebody, whether it's your therapist or if you want to book with me. Like, you feel stupid. And I want to remove that, because I am never thinking that, ever. I am thinking, okay, where are we on the map? If we're going from California to New York, are we still in California, or are we halfway and we're in Illinois or in Notre Dame, where I got stuck in a blizzard with my mom and sister and my Jeep and a U-Haul on the way to New York? Oh my God, what a nightmare it was moving here. Oh, it feels like so long ago that happened. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I'm looking at. Where are we on the map? And I know how to help you at every single stage. So I've been doing this for a long time, but you probably have not been doing this for a long time, and you may be helping a friend, or this may be helping you help yourself and asking yourself these questions. So, all right, I'm going to go through them in rapid fire really quick. I swear I can never make a fast podcast. All right, number 1, don't say you need to leave him. It's not realistic. It is not realistic for her to leave him. Number 2, she needs to land the airplane. She's at cruising altitude. She cannot jump out. If she takes that door out, she's going to suck herself out and flail around, and it's windy and cold, and she's going to plummet to the earth. It's way too scary to leave right now. Just know, when you say you need to leave him, jumping out of airplanes with no parachutes, it's like, whoa, what are you even saying? Way too dramatic right now. Number 3, do not expect fast change. Number 4, understand it takes time. Number 5, don't ask, why did you let him do this to you? Why do you stay? Don't ask her any why questions. Okay? Ask her. Number 6, how do you feel during good times? And how do you feel during bad? Don't forget, you can pause the podcast and write these down. Okay? Number 7, what is a typical day, week, month like? How has it been for you? Number 8, how does he respond to text messages, phone calls, any communication? What is his response like? Do you feel good? Do you feel like you're heard, valued, respected? Number 9, Does he take you on dates? Do you feel like he's investing time in you? Are you going out? Are you having fun together? Number 10, how's the sex? Is it any good? How often is it happening? Do you feel disconnected during sex? Do you feel like he's so far away? Like, do you feel like you're having sex with a stranger sometimes? Number 11, how much of the time is good versus bad? Number 12, do you feel exhausted? Number 13, are you wanting to still stick it out? Where are you in the energy level to continue this relationship? And to go along with that, what does that mean for you? What do you have to do to stick it out? What's the work involved? Remember the house and the construction theory. Like, does she have to have a hard hat and gloves and hammer and nails? Or is he right there beside her holding the hammer and nails? Or they're going back and forth. They're putting the sticks together. Does she have a partner? Number 15, what is on hold for her right now as she works through this relationship? And how long will that have to stay on hold? And can she afford it to be on hold for very much longer? Number 16, what can she do for herself in the process? Okay, so right now you're doing all these things. What can you do for yourself? Number 17, encourage her to focus on self-care, reduce stress, get in the gym, drink water, get rest, take vitamins, all the self-care things. Number 18, keep her around friends and family and not always addressing the guy. Number 19, don't gang up on her. Ganging up on her, giving her lectures will weaken her and make her feel dumb. She already feels dumb. She already feels ashamed. Don't make it worse. Okay? That was actually the second point. Don't make her feel dumb. Make sure you I said number 20 was she feels dumb. Make sure you tell her that she's not. Make sure you tell her, no, you're not dumb, that this is a process. You're in love. You're not dumb. It's just that you're not a psychopath. Okay? That's why it's hard, because you're not a serial killer. Okay? If you're a serial killer, it's really easy to move on to the next relationship. You don't have any real attachment. So you're not a psychopath. So that's why this is hard. Make sure she understands that it's not a reasonable expectation to let go that fast. And number 21, remember she's in love and that her heart takes longer to catch up with this than her head. Her head is going to take, it's easy for our head to see it. It's logical. It's like Spock-like, like we get it. But the heart's like, but why? And it's just so agonizing. And that part it just is a process, and it is a different process for every single person. Okay. I hope this helped you. I hope this is so your go-to when you have a friend that is going through something like this. And I also want you moms out there to know that you can apply this to teenagers. And if you apply this to teenagers, I'm just going to pull up this list really quick. And when you talk to teenagers, you can look at all of this, and obviously some questions may not apply. The relationship may not be as long, but you can still ask her, how does he text you? And do you feel good about it? Is he asking questions? Is he investing in you? Do you feel like he's contributing to the relationship, or do you feel like he's just only available when he wants something, but when you need something, is he there for you? Do you feel like you have a friend on the other side? Probably should have said that from the beginning. Does it feel like he's your friend? Can you count on him? Is he reliable? Do you feel secure with him? So there's so many things. Obviously, I'm just scratching the surface. And if you do feel inspired to book a one-on-one session, or you want to join our academy, then understand that this will be extremely customized to you. But maybe it'll inspire you to reach out and say, okay, maybe I need to book one of these things, because I'm telling you, it's the most rewarding work I do. And I don't think I will ever remove one-on-ones, because it's so helpful. And so the work is so much deeper. And when you combine it with one-on-ones, and when you're in the group and you have that group support, it's amazing. Like, the combination is the best. If you have any question about it, go to my Instagram, click on testimonials. And if you click through, there's so many in there, but if you click through, you'll see some of the most recent ones about, I wish they put the most recent testimonials at the front, but if you go to the Instagram bio, you know how they have all the little, categories. If you go to the categories and you scroll to testimonials, you'll see it. It might even be one of the first ones there of how these women are experiencing the Back to You Academy. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you want to book a session, you can also go to my Instagram bio and click on book. And right there, my calendar will come up and you'll be able to book a session. And all the availability will be right there. So if you need help or you know someone that needs help, please feel free to refer them to me, because I promise you, I won't disappoint you. I really know what I'm doing here. I feel the most confident that I ever have about the work that I do, because I see how much that I was attracted to this, not only because of my own journey, but that this was my destiny to do this. And I just can't imagine doing anything else. So I'm here to help you. And if you can't afford a session, then really write down these questions and use them as journal prompts to help you get through this time, or help your friend. You can listen to this podcast together, whatever you want to do, but I'm just here to help you. Okay? So I hope you have an amazing week. Happy Monday to you. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.